Okay, this video we're going to be talking about the Unit 4 Quiz 1 review. I will say that this is probably going to be going through this quicker than you guys probably want to. So you might want to play this at a slower speed. I'll try to slow down, but there's just a lot in this. All right, so here you have the formulas here. All right, so here's the recursive formula. All right, here's also the closed form formula. All right, so I did give you those. You'll be referring back to those as the video rolls on. All right, first thing we have is find, all right, so here's the sequence, 45, 31. Finding A1, here you go, boom, right there. It's 45, that's the first term, all right. The common difference, again, what are you doing every single time? All right, so I'm sitting at 45, and I'm going to 31, then I'm going to 17. Well, I'm subtracting 14, okay. Now, to have the closed form formula, remember that is the A of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. All right, remember, if you have your first term, if you have your common difference, you can just go ahead and skip straight to this part and just figure it all out. So distribute n, 45 minus 14n plus 14. When I combine like terms, my answer is negative 14n plus 59. Now, the recursive means, what am I doing again and again and again? Notice on this 45, going back to the sequence, I'm subtracting 14. I'm subtracting 14. I'm subtracting 14. Notice I'm constantly subtracting 14. So that means, that means in order to get to this next number after negative 25, I would have to subtract 14. So you always subtract the previous number by 14. So A of n minus 1 minus 14. Now the last question of the section is to find A of 16. Now this is super easy, guys. And the reason I say this is super easy is because you already have your closed form formula. So all you have to do is take 16, plug it in for n. So negative 14 times 16 plus 59. Do the math, and your answer is negative 165. That would be the 16th term of your sequence. All right? Now, for the following arithmetic sequences, find the following. Notice that I have my 8th term, which is 204. I have my 15th term, which is 216. I got to find what my common difference is. All right, that's what I need to know. Now, if you remember, it is the later term minus the early term, okay? And then the second part is that you're going to divide by the jumps. All right, so divide by the jumps. All right, now let's look at what we have here. The 8th term is 204. The 15th term is 216. So 15 would be considered the later term. Or 246, I don't know what I said. Minus 204. You do the math, and you get 42. And then it says divide by the jumps. Now notice what we have. We don't have the blanks this time. But here's what you can do, and it's actually pretty simple, and that is you can just take, let's see, you're at the 8th term, and now you're at the 15th term. So just simply divide by 7 because there's 7 jumps. So from 8 to 15, there's 7 jumps. So you're going to take 42, and you're going to divide that by 7, and you're increasing by 6 every single time. Now for the next question here, same exact concept. Take the later term, which is 1320. Subtract from the earlier term, which is 722. You get a difference of 598. Now, notice you're at your 22nd term, and now you're at your 45th term. That is 23 jumps, so I'm going to divide by 23. And when I do the math, my common difference ends up being 26. All right. Now, the next thing is geometric. Now, geometric, you're still dealing with later and earlier term, but in this case, it's different. Now, you're going to take the later term, and you're going to divide by the early term. Okay? And after you do that, and then you're going to take the root of the jumps. All right? So the later term ended up being 1836. I'm going to divide that by the earlier term, which is 204. So when I do the math, I end up with 9. Now, let's talk about the jumps here. I'm at my 8th term, and now I'm at my 10th term. That's 2 jumps. So if you remember in class, 2 jumps, in this case, would be a square root. So I'm going to take 9, and I'm going to square root it. And when I do that, my r ends up being 3. All right, same concept for the next question. Take my later term, which is 2,744, divide that by 8, and when I do that, I get 343. Now, I'm at my 22nd term, which is 8. I'm at my 25th term, which is 2,744. So that is 3 jumps. Now, 3 jumps is equal to a cubed root. So I'm going to take the third root of 343. Now remember, your calculator, you need to know how to work the roots in your calculator. All right, so on the test or on a quiz, if you say, hey, how do I do this? Don't be surprised if I say, I don't know. All right, so today is the day that you need to figure out how to do stuff. All right, now here we go. A little more involved. We have the 11th term, which is this, and then we have what our common difference is. Now, what we don't know is what our first term is. So we've got to use the formula and work backwards. All right, so when we do that, there we go. And that's not the right page. There we go. And so what we've got to do is our closed form formula to find our first term. Now, we've done several of these now. All right, so in order to find, here we go, a of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. You already know what your common difference is. It's negative 11. All right. What I don't know is what my first term is. Now, negative 34 will go in for a of n. 11 will go in for n. All right. Now, the more we do this, you'll figure out that you're doing literally the same exact thing again and again and again. I mean, a lot of it is basically the exact same thing. In fact, most of this review here is one question being asked several times. 11 minus 1. All right. Now, I'm going to do basic algebra to go ahead and get all my work in. Let's see. That turns into negative 110. And then my first term x ends up being positive 76. So my first term ends up being 76. Now, since I know my first term, and I'll just circle it so you can see it, now that I know my first term, now that I know my common difference, I can pretty much just do the closed form formula. So it is going to be, and again, guys, space is an issue on this worksheet. I'm going to have to erase here. So if you're watching the video, you might have to pause it, write stuff down. All right, so a of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. Well, I already know what my first term is because I just found it, 76. I already know what my common difference is because it was given to me, negative 11. So from here, basic algebra, 76 minus 11n plus 11, my answer is going to be negative 11n plus 87. Very simple. Now, recursive. Now, recursive, remember, what are you doing every single time? Now, I'll give you a hint. As you are thinking about what you're doing, I'm going to circle and keep circling the common difference. Remember what that common difference means. It means every single time I move throughout the sequence, I am subtracting 11. So the recursive is nothing more than, hey, you know what? I'm taking the previous number and I'm always subtracting 11. That's it. Now, a of 16, this little throwaway question, just take 16, plug it in for n, and you get the 16th term, which is negative 89. Pretty simple. All right. Now, notice what we have here. We have our 5th term. We have our 12th term. Uh-oh. We need to find our first term as well as our common difference. All right. So we're literally doing the same exact thing as we did up here. The only difference is we got to do one thing beforehand. Now, let me show you something. Oh, there it was. Remember what you did right here? Later and earlier term? This is what you're starting the problem off with. It's the exact same question. So we're going to take our later term, which is 237. We are going to subtract it by our earlier term, which is 62. So when you do the math, you get 175. Now, again, this is the 5th term. This is the 12th term. That is a difference of 7, which means it has 7 jumps. I'm going to divide that by 7, and my common difference ends up being 25. All right. Now, once you have your common difference, this question has now just gone back to this question. It's literally the same exact question. So now you've got to find your first term. All right. So you're going to find the first term exactly how you did all of this. All right. Again, same question, just asked several different times. All right. So let me set the problem up. So it is going to be A of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. Now, remember, I'm looking for my first term. I already have my common difference, which is 25. Now, the next thing is you have a choice here. Do you want to deal with 62 or do you want to deal with 237? Well, I like smaller numbers, so I'm going to deal with 62. So I'm going to put 62 right there, and I'm going to put 5 right there. So 62 is equal to x plus 25, 5 minus 1. So 62 equals x plus, that will be 100, and then my first term ends up being negative 38. Now, I recommend you actually working this out as I am working. I mean, just don't pay attention to me. I already know how to do it, all right? I'm going to get a 100 on this, I hope. So I already know how to do all this mess. All right, now that I have my first term, now that I have my common difference, all I have to do now is figure out what my closed form formula is. And guess what? We're doing the same exact thing. Something plus something n minus 1. So that's negative 38. This is 25. Do the math. So, uh-oh. A little crazy here. What happened? I don't know what just happened here. Hold on. All right, I think I have some technical difficulties on this one. Let's see if we got it working again. I think I'm good. All right, so then you take your, I think I have it right. Let's see. All right, so then you take this part and just do basic algebra at this point. So it is going to be, okay, where am I at? Negative 38 plus 25n minus 25. Combine like terms, and you get, let's see, you would get 25n minus 63. Now, remember that the recursive formula is what are you doing to the previous term? Okay. All I'm doing is I'm just simply adding 25 every single time. All right? So let's keep going. Okay, next question here. I mean, this is literally the last question. All right, so this question that we just did, which is down here, where you had to find your first term, I mean, it's almost a carbon copy of this question. The only difference is I just went ahead and did a different numbers here. Okay, now, here we go. Remember that, I don't know why I don't know why I can't see my pointer anymore. Now I don't know where I'm writing half the time. All right, so notice the later term is actually smaller than the earlier term. We haven't had one of these before just because We just have it. All right, so the later term ended up being 435 minus 1060. All right, so we just have a negative number, which is okay. So the negative number ends up being negative 625. And I'm going to divide that by my jumps, which is 5. So my difference ends up being negative 100. Okay, see, here's the problem. Now I don't know where I'm writing. Okay, let's try this again. All right, everything's all fouled up right now. All right, let's see if I can do it. I don't know why I can't get rid of that. All right, we're just going to keep going. All right, so let's see if I can do this. All right, so, I thought I could say it, negative 125. All right, so my common difference is negative 25. So at this point, knowing that my common difference is negative 125, then all I have to do is, again, literally the same exact thing, and that is, it's going to be, Lord of mercy, I don't know why this thing isn't working. It's going to be A of n is equal to something plus something is equal to n minus 1. All right, and so we have negative 125 as our difference. We're looking for our first term. I'm just going to go ahead and choose 1060. So 1060 will go there. 12 will go there. 1060 is equal to x minus 125, parenthesis, 12 minus 1. You can solve for x on your own at this point. So you need to start pausing the video and doing it yourself, or ask me, I'll be in the room. So, oh Lord, 2000, again, I have no idea why this is messing up on me now. All right, so now it's going to be, where am I at? Oh, way down there. Okay, 2,435. That is my first term. All right, once you have your first term, once you have your common difference, now you've got to do A of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1 for your closed form formula. Now remember, the first something is going to be 2,435. The next something is going to be negative 125. You solve for that your own. Okay? And so this is going to be, let's see if I can type a little bit, because obviously some things start screwing up on me here. So the formula ends up being negative 125 n plus 2,560. Okay? Now remember, the recursive rule is nothing more than what are you doing to the previous number to get to the next number? Well, your common difference, which is right here, tells me what I'm doing. I'm just simply subtracting by 125. So it's going to be minus 125. All right. Now, lastly, A of 16. Now, again, this question and this entire worksheet is just the same question again and again. That's 16. Plug it in for n. All right. So it will be, and I can type this. It's easier to type. Negative 125 times 16, parentheses, plus 2560. The answer is going to be 560. That's it. All right. Next question. John is working on his AMDM classwork and calculated the following closed form. Okay. Answer the following questions. All right. Now, this always throws students off. All right. Now, here's how you do it. Very simple. And that is, the first thing you need to do is going to find your first term. All right. So your first term, very simple. I'm just going to simply do 215 plus 35 times 1. And when I do the math, I get 250. All right. So my first term is 250. Now, to find our common difference, here's what I recommend. Find your second term, which means I'm going to do 215 plus 35 times 2. equals 85. Nope, that doesn't. 285. Sorry, 285. Okay, now think about it for a second, guys. And that is, your first term ended up being 250. Your second term ended up being 285. What did you do to 250 to get 285? Well, I just simply added 35. So guess what? Your common difference is going to be 35. That's it. This one question has thrown so many people off in the past, and it is probably one of the easiest questions. All right, so hopefully you take a mental note on this. All right, moving on. All right, so John is saving for a new car. He started with, here we go. He started with $500, and he will deposit $100 each month. Find the following. All right, he started with $500, and guess what? He's depositing $100. See how easy that is? Look at that. You already have your first term. You already have your common difference. So guess what? This entire problem has just become very, very easy for you. Now let's see if I can write. And again, I don't know why I cannot see my, look, I can see I'm clicking on things, but once I move down to the screen, I have no idea where I'm at. See, look at that. I know where I'm at. A of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. Now, the first, I can see it now. The first term is 500. The common difference is 100. Look at it, and it disappeared again. It drives me crazy. All right, so you have it set up this way. So doing the exact same thing we've been doing, I'm looking at the timer, we've been doing the same thing for 21 minutes now. All right, so we've been doing the same thing for 21 minutes. So all you do is simply simplify, and when you simplify, your answer ends up being, let's see here, 100n plus 400. That's it. Now remember, the recursive rule is what are you doing to the previous number, an minus 1. Well, if I know I'm adding $100 every single time, that's what my recursive formula is going to be, guys. Now, this question here, a couple throwaway questions, 10 months of saving. So all I'm going to do, 10 months of saving, I'm going to take 10, plug it in for n. And so 100, now you don't have to write this on the test. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. And so 100 times 10 plus 400, the answer is 1,400. So that the answer is actually 1,400. Again, you don't have to do this unless you really want to. John wants to buy a used car. If the car is worth $5,000, how many months? So you're working backwards here now. Now you're going to set it as 5,000 is equal to 100 in plus 400. All right. So you're trying to find n because n represents how many months there are, and it ends up being 46. All right. Oh, a tire question. If a tire has a rim size of 16 inches. All right. So first thing I got to do is take my circumference, and I have to divide by 3.14. When I do that, I get 30. Now, 30 is how tall it is. The rim is 16 because it says that in the problem here. I don't know what this sidewall is. I don't know what this sidewall is. So we've done this several times. What can this be? What can this be? Added 16 to get this 37. Okay, John is saving for something. He started his plan with an unknown amount of money and will make here we go. Monthly deposits of $75. That's our common difference. By the 6th month, he has $800. So A of 6 equals $800. And guess what, guys? We've seen this problem again. Or we've seen this problem before. Now, let's see if I can write it. Probably not going to work because it's not going to. Okay, awesome. I don't know where that came up. All right, so A, okay, where am I at? All right. Let's see if I can see. Nope, can't see my mouse. Awesome. Now I can't write anymore. Yay. Awesome. This just gets better and better. Yep. All right, so that's dead. If you hear a crash, that's me throwing my smartboard out the window. All right, so it is A of n A of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. All right. Now, remember that your second something is your common difference, which is 75. Your first something is x. 800 goes there, and 6 will go there. Now, I'm just setting the problem up now because we're getting to a point where this is very much repeating itself. X plus 75. That'll be 6 minus 1. All right. Basic algebra, that gives me 425. All right. So when I do the closed form formula, it'll be A of n is equal to my first term, which is 425, plus 75 n minus 1. So when you do the math, that formula ends up being 75n plus 350. The recursive formula, again, what are you doing every single time? I am adding 75. There you go. After 10 months of saving, again, folks, you pretty much get the point in this. 10 months, throw that into n. You do the math. It ends up being 1,100. All right. Now, using a 9 by 9 foot square to estimate a crowd. All right, 9 by 9. All right, so remember this is people over space, but we're solving in terms of E. So it'll be E over 81 is equal to X over, let's see, 22,500. Cross, multiply, and solve. 278 E. And it says if 15 people, very simply just take 15, throw it in there. $4,071 people. Okay. All right. Dave's dad has a job for him to do. All right. So the way the job is set up, John will get paid more to start the job. After, here we go, after 3 hours of work, A of 3 is equal to 115. A of 6 is equal to 220. Guys, we have done like 4 of these on this worksheet right now. All right, take the later term, subtract by the earlier term. All right, so the later term, subtract by the earlier term, and then divide by 3 because there's 3 jumps. D is equal to 35. A of n is equal to something plus something n minus 1. You decide what you want to do. I want to use, remember you got to find for your first term, your common difference is 35. I'm just going to take 115, plug it there, and I'm going to take 3, plug it there. So my answer ends up being 115 is equal to x plus 35, parenthesis, 3 minus 1. The first term ends up being 45. And so the first term being 25, or 45, sorry, 45 plus 35 and minus 1, simplify that. I'm kind of rushing along here just because I see what time it is. I need to go ahead and call it a day here. All right, recursive, what are you doing every single time? I'm taking an minus 1 plus common difference, which is 35. After 10 hours of work, again, take 10 right here, plug it in for n. You get 360. All right, a parade question, Lord, I'm not doing the parade question. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the answer just because of time. We're getting near the 30-minute mark. 2,287. Aspect ratio, I'm just going to go ahead and give you these answers, guys. I do have a work on the key, so I would recommend you looking at that because, again, I just don't have enough time at this point. All right. And lastly, Sammy went to the tire store. All right, we've had this several times. 5,126,080. I apologize for speeding up the last half review part, but again, I'm looking at time and we got to get going. So let me know if you have any questions. We'll be sitting in groups today, so hopefully that will be beneficial for you. Thanks again.